Welcome back. I hope you've completed the installation of the Power BI desktop application. In this session, we're going to use the Power BI desktop application to access the data in our serverless SQL pools and create reports on them. So let's get started. I have installed Power BI desktop application. So let me open that first. Let's get some data from a Synapse SQL pool so that we can create reports on them. So let's click on Get Data and then need to click on More. And now we need to connect to our serverless SQL pool. So in order to do that, let's click on Azure and it'll show us all the connectors available. And as you can see, there's one for Azure Synapse Analytics SQL. So let's click on that and click Connect. Here, we need to specify the server details. So let me show you from where you will get that information from. I'm going to go over to Synapse Studio, and here I am in the Manage Studio and SQL pool you can see built in, which is our serverless SQL pool. So let me click on that and you'll see the Workspace SQL endpoint. So let's copy that and go over to the desktop and paste that information here. And you can specify a specific database to which you want to connect to. If you want to order, you can just leave that empty and it'll just show you the databases available. So you can either choose Import or Direct Query is going to access the serverless SQL pool. Every time you refresh the report, Import will grab the data and keep it within the application itself. So for the sake of simplicity, let's use the Direct Query and let's click. OK. So now you need to use the credentials to authenticate. So let's use the Microsoft account authentication and let's click on Sign In, and we need to sign in with our Azure account. Once connected successfully, it's going to list all the databases available. We've got the default database as well as the demo ones, and we've got the other databases we've created. You may notice that we've not only got the databases we created within the serverless SQL itself, we've got the replicated database from this Spark as well, which is called Lake Database. If you remember, let me go over to Synapse Studio and show you that. So as you can see, we've got the 4 SQL databases here and we've got their Lake database. So the default one and the other one, which is the Spark database, here are the databases. So they're also showing up. So we've got the ability now to access all of this data from Power BI and create the reports we want, which is great. So you can do all your processing in Spark if you wanted to. You can still use serverless SQL pool to access that data and refresh your report that way. So let me go over to the desktop again and you can select all of the data we've got and create some complex reports here. But this is not a Power BI course. Our objective is to integrate in Synapse Studio with Power BI. So we're going to just get data from one of the tables, and I'll quickly show you how to create a report and publish that to the workspace as well. So let me pick a table. I'm going to pick the gold table here. So we've got the gold view for trip data, and let's pick that, and we can just try and build a simple report there, and you get a preview of the data here, and that looks as we expect to see. And if you wanted to transform the data, add any additional columns or anything, you can do that. But I'm going to just simply load the data. So as you can see, the table and the list of columns are available for us here. Now, we can get any of the visualizations we need from here and drag the appropriate columns in order to build the charts we need in our reports. Let's create a simple line chart from here. So I've just selected the line chart from the visualizations that you've got that come over here. So if you're new to Power BI, just follow along with me. But if you are an experienced Power BI user, just click the report you want to create here and then we can do the publish. So in the line chart, I'm again going to keep it simple. I'm just going to have the trip date on the x-axis and the fair amount on the y-axis so we can see how it varies over time. So let me drag the template from here and put it into x-axis here on the visualizations, and let me drag the fair amount and put it into y-axis. It's quite a simple line chart here. As you can see, there's a massive variation from the beginning of the year to the end of the year. So as you remember, we've got the data from January 2020 onwards to July 2021. That's what you're seeing in the x-axis. And on the y-axis, you've got the fair amount. The fair amount is significant over the first couple of months and then it dropped. The explanation here is that actually COVID happened somewhere around the end of March and they were locked down in New York. And that's why the drop happened. And then it picked up. And then again, actually the second wave came and there was a small drop and then it's picked up again. So that explains the drop here. So this is one of the charts in my report. And let me also add another one. This time let me add a clustered column chart. So I'm going to drag that in. In this one, I want to plot the difference between cash and card payments based on the days of the week. As you know, we've got the trip here, which will be Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, and things like that. So let me bring that into my x-axis. So that's going to be on the x-axis and on the y-axis. I want to have both the card trip count and the cash column. So let me drag both of them in there and see whether their behavior changes based on what dates. As you can see here on Saturdays, the cash payments are pretty close to card payments, but on the rest of the day actually the card payments are slightly more higher than the cash payments. So if you are running a campaign, you probably want to start with Saturdays because you've got more people paying using cash and you may be able to convert them into card payments. So these are the two things I wanted to do, and I'm keeping it simple. You can do titles, you can do filters, you can do all of those things on the report if you wanted to. As I said, if you're interested in doing, probably I'm more going to look at my Power BI course, but the aim here is to integrate Synapse with Power BI. But before we finish, let's save this report. I'm going to save this in my desktop here, and I'm going to just simply call this as NYC Taxi Trip Trends. And that saves the file in a special format for Power BI called PBIX. So let's click on Save, and that will be saved in my desktop. And in the next session, I will walk you through how to build campaign report, and later session, I will walk you through how to create demand report. These two reports are our project requirements. So on this note, I am stopping over here. See you there.